Perched on the eastern bank of the Hudson River in New York stands an estate that intertwines industrial ambition, societal transformation, and personal legacy. The Staatsburgh Mansion, better known as the Mills Mansion, is a Beaux-Arts masterpiece that underwent a remarkable transformation between 1895 and 1896. This 79-room marvel boasts 14 bathrooms, 23 fireplaces, and a presence that whispers tales of Gilded Age splendor. Unlike many other grand estates, what makes the Mills truly extraordinary is that just about everything remains as it was when the Mills family last inhabited it. The estate's story begins in 1792, when Morgan Lewis, the third governor of New York and son of Declaration of Independence signer Francis Lewis, acquired the land and built a colonial-style home. In 1832, however, the original house met a fiery end. Frustrated tenant farmers, enraged by high rents, crossed the frozen Hudson River and set it ablaze. Ultimately, the family rebuilt the house in a Greek Revival style, and this is now what remains in the middle of today's mansion. By 1890, the estate passed to Ruth Livingston Mills, Morgan Lewis's great-granddaughter. Ruth, already entrenched in New York City's high society, envisioned a residence that would not merely reflect her family's prominence, but amplify it. She and her husband, financier Ogden Mills, commissioned the famed architect firm of McKim, Mead & White to transform the modest Greek Revival house into a palatial Beaux-Arts mansion. The renovation added 2 expansive wings while preserving much of the original structure's trim, moldings, and fireplaces. By 1896, at a cost of $350,000, approximately $12 million today, the house spanned 25,000 square feet. Its facade gleamed with ornate balustrades, pilasters, floral swags, and a grand portico, a fitting testament to the Mills family's stature. This was all necessary since the Mills Mansion was more than a home, it was a stage. Ruth Mills, an expert hostess, orchestrated glittering gatherings that drew politicians, financiers, and high society from New York and beyond. In the fall, the family resided at the estate, hosting dinners, parties, and enjoyed leisure activities like tennis, golf, horseback riding, ice skating, and yachting. When visiting the mansion today, you'll be amazed to see just how much was left exactly as it was. Visitors now enter through the back of the home, beginning in a quaint gift shop before ascending to the main level, where each room reveals treasures frozen in time. As you walk down the first hallway, you will find the master bedrooms of Ruth and Ogden. It's worth mentioning that Ruth aspired to be the queen of Gilded Age society, and her room certainly reflects that ambition with original French furniture and an abundance of colored silk textiles. And as you look upwards, you'll see a chandelier, which is a replica of the chandelier that was once displayed in her Fifth Avenue ballroom. Upon inspection, you can also see perfume bottles that are hidden inside the chandelier itself, which I imagine could have been used and filled up with a fragrance as a diffuser to disperse throughout the room. As you leave the bedrooms, you walk directly into the library, which features elaborate moldings and all original furniture. The painting above the fireplace is of Ruth's great-grandfather, General Morgan Lewis, and underneath is a stunning onyx fireplace. The room itself is 50 feet long and features 20-foot-tall ceilings thanks to the addition of the new wings. As you walk throughout the home, you'll notice that all rooms are furnished with elaborately carved and gilded furniture, fine oriental rugs, silk fabrics, and a collection of art objects from Europe, ancient Greece, and the Far East. Out of all the rooms on the first floor, my favorite was the dining room, which was decorated by elite designer Jules Allard. And if you've recently seen the Elms video that I posted about 2 weeks ago, you'll remember that name since he was the one who decorated the interior of the Elms estate as well in Newport, Rhode Island. It's important to remember that during this time specifically, the dining room was not just a place for meals, but rather a place for quiet assessments. Ruth, ever the discerning hostess, would determine whether a guest was worthy of a return invitation. This assessment would take place over multiple courses, as Ruth sat at the end of the table and observed every movement that the guest made. While this home was used to host many elaborate dinners and parties, most importantly, Ruth and Ogden Mills used this as a seasonal place to raise their 3 children. They had twin daughters named Beatrice and Gladys, and a son named Ogden Livingston Mills. Throughout the years as the children aged, Beatrice married into European nobility, becoming the Countess of Granard, while Gladys went on to marry Henry Carnegie Phipps. Their son Ogden went on to marry twice and became the 50th U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, and alongside Gladys founded Wheatley Stables, which produced legendary thoroughbreds including Seabiscuit. Ogden also worked as a lawyer and was even featured on the cover of Time magazine on October 6, 1926. Although tragedy struck the family when Ruth passed away in 1920 at their Paris home. Heartbroken, Ogden sealed her living quarters at each of their homes, unable to face the memories. He ultimately died 9 years later, reuniting with her at the family mausoleum in Hyde Park. After Ogden's passing, he left the estate to his only son, who was now married to his second wife, Dorothy Randolph. Together, they spent their time between their home in New York City and the Mills estate, with the 2 children that Dorothy had from a previous marriage. Although sadly, in 1937, only 8 years after Ogden inherited the mansion, he died of a heart attack at the young age of 53. Having no children by blood from either of his marriages, the estate was passed on to his sister Gladys. By then, the wealth between her and her husband rendered the mansion unnecessary. So, in 1938, she went to the home one last time, took a few personal belongings, and walked out of her childhood home, handing over the keys, donating the mansion, all of its contents, and surrounding 192 acres to the state of New York, as a lasting memorial to her family. Today, the mansion stands as a time capsule of the Gilded Age. Its opulent rooms, rich history, and preserved artifacts offer visitors an intimate view of a bygone era, where wealth and influence shaped every corner of life. I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time to listen today and explore the Mills estate with us. If you enjoy these kind of videos, please subscribe and follow along for more historic mansions that are coming your way very soon. Until the next time, I hope you are all safe and happy, and we will see you then.